I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome everybody here to come and attend. The meeting is taking place on Tuesday, February 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. at the town hall upstairs. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have one set of minutes today, and that's the minutes of the last meeting, February 3rd, 2025. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes that were presented?
I don't have any.
If not, I'm going to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second. If no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Sullivan Powers, I guess you're ready.
Can you hear me okay?
I think so.
So yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for having me here tonight. My name is Rick Brigham. I'm with Sullivan Powers and Company. We performed the audit for June 30, 2024. I just wanted to take a few minutes tonight to kind of peruse the audit with you a little bit, go through some of the main highlights. And if you have any questions at the end, we can run through them. So obviously there's a lot of information here. It's a 40-page report. This is really the culmination of a lot of activities by the board, by management there, by the treasurer, booking transactions through the year, payroll, all the reconciliations that happen. That all goes into the final tally of where this report comes from. My job as your auditor is to give basically pages 1 through 4 is my responsibility. It's basically the auditor's opinion. So we go through all our testing, all our procedures, and we have 3 choices in an audited opinion. It's either a adverse opinion, which basically says the financial statements aren't fairly stated, or it's a qualified opinion, meaning they're fairly stated except for something, or there's an unqualified opinion, which is the better one, the best one you can have. The only qualification we had related to the town, which I think we've had in previous years, obviously, was related to the recording of investments at market rather than cost. I think we've talked about that in prior years. That's one of those ones where the standards say what it should be, although my personal opinion has always been that market value is a better number to evaluate than cost related to investments. But because that's the standard, we have to put in the qualification. But I still think the way you're showing it makes more sense to the reader and to most people. But that was the only qualification related to the board. Everything else was unqualified. Kind of moving to pages 7 and 8. So page 7 is your major funds: general fund, capital projects, library, Walker Bridge, and trustee of public funds. So this is your balance sheet, your snapshot in time of what your assets and liabilities look like at June 30, 2024. So kind of looking down the general fund, everybody wants to usually go to the fund balances section. And so we're looking at the bottom of the general fund section. You'll see the total fund balance is negative 25,449. The unassigned deficit is 136,298. Again, a lot of that this year, when looking at that number, it kind of stuck out as a negative and, a little warning sign, but then kind of digging through the numbers and everything, obviously I was able to see that you're going to get a lot of FEMA money. That was just a timing issue that comes in to cover that deficit and give you even, more fund balance after year end when those FEMA receipts come in. And I know that transferring money to the new Walker Bridge Fund for this year obviously took a little bit of the unassigned surplus away from you from prior years. And again, looking at page 8, so if the other page was the balance sheet, this is basically the income statement of how each of the funds arrived at the year end. It shows you all the revenues and expenses for each fund, shows you where your beginning fund balance started and where you end up with your fund balance, which obviously ties back to page 7. looking at pages 9 through 15, you're used to probably seeing these on a regular basis. These are the budgeted actuals for the year. And again, you've probably seen them on at least a quarterly basis, if not a monthly basis. Kind of looking at the things that stuck out to me, if I'm looking at the revenues, middle of page 9, there's a bunch of intergovernmental revenues, FEMA, agriculture, and some other state of Vermont grants that weren't budgeted. So you can see where your revenues are well exceeded your budget in that area. And that pretty much makes up the, if you're looking at page 10, the total cash receipts. If you're looking at the budget versus actual, 424,000 over. Most of those obviously relate to the grants that we just talked about. Kind of looking at the expense side of everything, I know you went over again on the expense side again, mostly because of the grants. I know there was a sewage study, which we see at the middle of page 11, that was not budgeted for and spent 52.7. Obviously, there was some money spent on emergency management on page 12, budgeted 1,000, spent 16, about 15,000 over. There was some highway salaries that were over from last year from the budget, both in regular hours and overtime. Looking at page 14, you'll see some retreatment contractors that were over budget by about 86,000. July 2021 rain contractors over by about 28.6. And then obviously at the bottom of the page where you'll see the storm repairs well over budget because there was no budget plan for those. But that pretty much explains all the variances. If you're looking at page 15 from what your original budget was to your actual, most of those are just expenses that were not expected. And a lot of that was going to be reimbursed after year end. If we're looking at pages 18 through 36, this is what we refer to as the notes to the financial statements. If you want a deeper dive, I'm not going to go through page by page with you, but if you're looking for a deeper dive into how the cash is collateralized, what kind of investments do we have, what kind of notes do we have, terms of the notes, all that kind of stuff. These notes to the financial statements will give you a deeper dive into any of those issues. What can fund balances be spent on? They'll be in these notes to the financial statements as well. And pages 37 through 38, you have some small private purpose funds, the SB Jones Library Church Fund, Grafton Fund, Edward Campbell Wilson Fund, Dean Baker. These are the funds that are trust funds for you. And obviously this is looking at pages 37 and 38, same kind of thing. This is the balance sheet on 37 and the income statement on 38. Nothing that really struck me as far as something we had to talk about tonight on those funds. As part of the audit, we're required to communicate to the board any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we noted during the audit. And so I'd be pleased to inform you that we did not note any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses during the course of our audit. There were a few recommendations that we made in a separate management letter. Those are not required to be put in writing. They're just thoughts that we had during the audit, things to think about. And we've gone over those with the treasurer, and those are available as well to look at if you want to look at those at some point. Other required communications related to the audit. We encountered no difficulties in dealing with staff or management. We had no disagreements with staff or management. There were no consultations with other auditors, and all entries we proposed were posted by management. Overall, I thought the audit went very good. I thought Jenna did a great job, and she was very pleased with the effort that the town put into helping her and get to this point. So we want to thank everybody there from management and staff who assisted us with getting to this audit. Are there any questions I can answer for anybody?
Anybody have any questions? Anna, you okay?
Any
Kathy?
recommendations? We had none.
The only thing that I spoke to a few of the board members and I spoke to Kim is on this fraud risk assessment.
Yep.
A few years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, I guess, we attended a seminar over in, I forget, Peru, yeah. About how to do it all, and it just kind of, I guess, dropped off the face of the earth. So I said, I think we have to make a concerted effort this year to actually, see how we can, deal with this fraud risk assessment. And, I had talked to Morgan, and Morgan is doing some research now through VLCT and some maybe other towns that have some kind of a, um, um, thing that they have put into effect that we could use as a model.
Yep.
Because this is not something that you can just come out of the air. It's very complicated. Is
Yep.
what I understand.
Yep.
So-
So what I can tell you is I have some examples of ones that I've either assisted with or people have provided me that I could share with you that would kind of give you a report that kind of looks like, oh, this is what they're talking about. These are the kind of controls. These are the kind of things that people have put in place, or, hey, here's where the risks are. What do we have to do to offset those risks? So I can give you a couple reports that I can send to Kim, and she can share those and get you to a good starting point for that.
That would be great. That would really need help.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I guess I have a question, Kim, on these recommendations, for the other recommendations.
Mhm.
do you-
I've implemented, I think almost every one of them,
Okay,
except for the progress, which is more the select board than it is any of my job.
that's,
But yeah, as soon as Jenna did them,
Right.
in the past, I think, Rick, we always could reply to the recommendations in writing, but Jenna said you're not doing that anymore. So I didn't do a write-up as to what I've done.
Yep.
So, but I've already started them all.
perfect. I just wondered if there are any issues that you had with it.
Nope, I didn't have any issues,
Great. See.
they just add more to it.
Yeah.
Well, I've always done journal entries and, you know, then the notebook was a request, and then this is the first year I heard of having documentation attached to the journal entry, so yeah, I'll go with it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Thank you.
As I understand it, though, the personnel committee needs to address the vacation policy and payouts. Which I think they are. Is that right, Kathy?
I'll have to check. I'll have to check.
Any other questions, comments?
Jenna was great to work with, and Chad,
I'm glad. She's always good.
yeah, and great to be able to call and connect with her, and very responsive.
That's great. Thanks for that feedback.
All right, well, thank you for taking the time and going over this. And we look forward to sending the fraud risk stuff so that we can take a look and see what we're actually need to deal with.
That sounds great. I will get that to you in the next couple of days.
Okay, perfect. All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
That's all right. You can do that. Oh, I meant- yeah.
Morgan, what is this? What are we approving on the PRV for?
Hardy can take over.
Oh, okay, Hardy, go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, you're next. Yeah, approval of the PVR 4155.
What is that?
That's the.
Oh.
You wanna talk about it?
I don't know much. Basically, the listers have determined that there are no suits outstanding against our present grand list that we just completed. And consequently, you can close that grand list by signing this document. And nobody else can do anything with last year's grand list as far as requesting anything about their past grand list value. No changes can be made at this time after this is signed.
Okay.
And we are up to date. There are no grand lists outstanding with the state of Vermont after this one's signed.
So we all to sign that?
I think, Whatever it says there.
All right,
We get to-
is that it?
That, for that portion, yes.
Yes, for that portion.
Well, do you want to deal with the reappraisal while we're?
Yeah, I was, the listeners would like to update you, on what's
Absolutely.
coming down the pipe here.
Okay,
I have a little handout for all of you.
perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, each year, the state does what they call an equalization study. And I believe some of you may have already seen this report, the first piece, document, which was sent to the select board. It's also sent to the school board and the listers and the town clerk. But basically what it says is that our grand list is undervalued based on the sales that have been completed in the last 3 years. So the state does an equalization study, which compares all the valid sales with the grand list values of those pieces of property. And what that determined was that our common level of appraisal is 71.92%. Which means all of our properties theoretically are worth a lot more than what the grand list says. And so the state says that our education grand list, which is $159,378,461, is really worth $221,596,214. So the second piece of this is something called the coefficient of dispersion, which is 21.57%. You can see I've highlighted it. If you go to the back of it, just turn it over, you can read the coefficient of dispersion and what it means. But basically, when you read it, what it says is that anything over 20% means the town will be scheduled for a reappraisal. So that's coming down the pipe officially from the state a little bit later this summer.
How did they arrive at 21%?
Excuse me?
How did they arrive at that percentage?
They do a statistical analysis of all of the sales and they look at the deviation between the market value, what it sells for and what it's appraised at. And if it's out of skew, then it comes up with this percentage. Now, what that means is that some of the properties in town are paying less than what they should be paying in taxes, and other properties are paying more than what they should be paying in taxes. So that's why they require a reappraisal to be done once that percentage hits over 20%.
So if that was 19.57%, we wouldn't have to reappraise.
They wouldn't require us
Yeah,
to,
okay.
but we certainly would probably need to in another year or so. So, I mean, it's coming down the pipe. The second sheet that I've handed to you, sort of analyzes what has happened over the last 4 years since we did our reappraisal in 2021. If you look at the reappraisal year 2021, it takes valid sales for the years 2019, 20, and 21, and that totaled a total of 54 sales. And those sales were all valued at that time for a CLA of 101.87%. Now that's just pre-COVID. That's before the boom hit for the whole state. Our COD at that time, after the reappraisal, was 7.4%. In 2022, one of those years drops off, that's at 100%. So 2020 and 21 are still there, totaling about 46 sales. And 2022 sales came on at 72% roughly. So the percentage dropped to 97.95% for CLA and a COD of 11.33. You go to the next year and we have 32 sales left at 100% and about 24 sales at 72%. So we're going down again. This was last year, 90.06, 15.54. This year, all of those 100% sales are gone. And we're back to everybody else in the state. Our CLA now is 71.92. The state average CLA is 72.36%. That's for all of the towns in the state are averaging 72.36% of their assessed value. And our COD now is at the 21.57%, so we're required to do a reappraisal.
Yeah.
Now, we talked with our reappraisal company, which is New England Mutual Consultants Limited. The next sheet that you have there is a agreement for doing a statistical reappraisal. This would not be a full reappraisal, and you can only do a statistical if it's within 5 years of the last reappraisal that you did, which would qualify for them to do it in 2026 for the grand list value in 2026. I don't want to read the whole thing. Would like you all to read it. This is more informational, and in the next meeting, I could have this company, address you and answer any questions, and we go from there. So this is more just to get you all up to speed with what's coming down the pipe. I will also say, if we didn't do a statistical reappraisal, and this will cost us $39,000. And we'll address that in a second. But basically, if we couldn't do a statistical reappraisal, the state will have to approve that we can do this. If we don't do that, it's gonna be a full reappraisal. It would be out to probably 2028, and it would cost us around $75,000 to $80,000, maybe 85. And that's not good if we can help it. So where are we with our funds? We have presently, if the reappraisal costs $39,000, we presently have in our reappraisal fund, which has been provided by the state of Vermont, $18,474, and that was in the audit that was just displayed on the screen. In 2025, we're going to get another $5,320 from the state of Vermont, and in 2026, we're going to get another $5,320. Now we're up to $29,114. So the shortfall right now is $9,886, which would have to be supplied by the town. Right now, looking at the budget that we have you've already put together, we have put in there a database for a new update to our computer system, camera system that values our grand list. And that's cost $3,500, but that's a 10-year obligation, which we can capitalize. So my recommendation would be to move that $3,500, which is presently into expense, into our capital reserve fund. We have computers there, and we have about $9,000 or $10,000. And so we have plenty of funds there to cover it. The other thing I noted is we also have in there $2,300 that Numeric, that this company would normally do for us if we weren't doing an appraisal. But doing the appraisal will allow us to use that against that as well. So with $5,800 there, we're down to $4,000 shortfall. So that's where we are right now. And I would like you to review this, think about it. We're available, Gail Ann or myself and Nancy, to answer any questions between now and the next meeting. And we would be happy, if it works, to get that gentleman who is responsible for the appraisal company online to talk to you.
I think that'd be a good idea to have him,
Okay.
if you can, on the March 3rd meeting.
Can I ask a quick question? So the fiscal year that we'd be doing this reappraisal, which I got a little lost there. When?
It would be in 26.
26.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, sure.
But it's actually in this coming budget. that we're
Right,
working
right, so
on.
it's not, so
Yeah,
it's not in the budget, but now we're talking about funding.
but it's
hopefully with all this
$4,000.
$4,000, not $39,000,
Right.
which is
Um,
We don't have a choice here, correct?
No, we're gonna get an order to reappraise, we're gonna have to do it, whether we do it in 26 or 28.
So the way I look at it, let's
They
be proactive and get going.
Yes, that's why we're here today.
Yeah, thank you, this is agreed.
There's no wiggle room out of this thing, it's what it is.
Can I have a question? I know this has come up before with the school budgets, with the CLA, with the new appraisal. Is this gonna help the town of Grafton?
No, it doesn't really have any impact, because all it's doing is raising your property today up to what it should be
I
today.
understand that part.
So what's happened actually for all of us is for the last 2 years, because we had that reappraisal done in 2021, we have gotten a break on our taxes, okay? Because everybody else got hit, and it's been at the 72, 73, 74, including Athens, for the last
Right.
2 or 3 years, okay? And so we're just catching up with the rest of the state now.
Well, I guess we have to, listen to what he has to say, and we'll have to figure out how we're gonna come up with the other money. Because that is in this year's budget, correct? Right, I mean, that 4,000 has to come out of the budget that starts.
Well, it's gonna come from somewhere, yes, you're gonna have to shell out $4,000 if we do, if this is a signed
Yeah.
contract to get it done.
It is.
And hopefully you would have some other place where you didn't spend that $4,000.
Hopefully.
Is, and this consulting company, is this, you've worked with them before, is there, are there others?
They have done 4 reappraisals for us,
So that,
Yeah.
they're vetted.
the same company.
Just needed to ask the question, thank you.
So that's not something they'll start this July, this summer,
No, it won't
Next
be
year.
done until, it'll all be 26.
so it'll be 26, 27. like that.
No, it's gonna be in the budget because it will be done by, April, by June,
No,
whatever, April 1st.
well, this budget though is for this July. So in October, we're budgeting for the next July, where you said it's gonna start, so we'll still have time to be able to put your 4,000 in. Cause this July starts the one we're gonna approve the town meeting.
What budget are you doing right now? The one you're doing your,
26.
The one we're gonna be approving is 25, 26. At town meeting.
so the grand list will be as of April 1st, 2026. That's when the
So it's in this
reappraisal will be complete.
So then July will turn over into the 26, 27.
Yeah, so it comes out of the budget we just approved.
Yes,
Yeah, it depends on when they want payment. If
Well,
they want
they
payment, when
want-
they start April or they want payment, when they can. pay.
well, they're gonna start, well, it'll be ready in April, and then it'll go out to the people. And we'll have a normal procedure where we'll do, people will be able to read their assessment if they want to read it, and, we'll be in the normal process. And, then we will come up with a final grand list in, June 30th, basically.
So, just so I understand it, so the $39,000 is gonna get paid April of 2026?
By that time, yes,
But the whole thing has to be paid by that time?
yeah, I mean, we probably got a month after that, or,
Right, okay, but it's certainly gonna be paid in this budget.
essentially,
Yeah.
yes. So, but it's not in progress payments too,
I
if
understand
they
that.
do it, so.
How long will it take them to do the appraisal?
Nowhere as long as it would take to do a full assessment, so you're talking probably, a month, maybe.
Oh,
Not a long period of
okay,
time.
so say they start in April, they could be done. by
When
May.
they do a statistical, they're gonna look at all of the sales from 3 years prior.
Okay,
And they're gonna say, how do they relate, and then statistically, however the state says you gotta do this, they'll do it. And, they'll come up, and based on that, they'll assess everybody else in that category of type of property. Hustlers. And go from there.
Is that where they come by and they look at your house?
What's that?
Is that where they come by and they look at your house?
I really couldn't hear you, so.
Is that when they come by, the assessors come by and they just look at the house? Or they do it?
when they come by, they physically.
This appraisal, are they gonna-
They're only gonna go to these places that sold.
Oh, the
It's
soul.
a sample, okay?
So
So
we
all of
don't
the
have to-
sales for the last 3 years up to that point is what they will do in detail. They will go and check visually all of the other properties in town.
Still drive the whole town.
They'll drive it to town, but they aren't gonna go measure everybody's
Yeah,
property.
okay.
They'll be looking for changes, significant changes versus what they have already, and what we've already picked up. I mean, we're picking up changes every year, you know. As listers.
Cool.
All right, well, any other questions? So why don't we, if you can schedule, if that doesn't work, we can certainly do it afterwards,
Yeah,
his date.
right.
And then we'll just have to go bite the bullet, I guess. I don't see any other avenue. So,
Thank you, Ernie.
Yep.
all right, thanks, Hardy, for the work.
Thank you.
Highway, Toby?
Gonna do some cleaning up on the streets this week. I start tomorrow at 6 AM, I'm hoping. Try to beat some of the traffic. And we're gonna do some winging, it's pretty much just all week, we're gonna be messing with snowbanks and stuff, so. Get a lot of them. So,
Are you removing stuff?
yes, we're moving tomorrow, I'm hoping to remove everything from Main Street, Pleasant Street, Kidder Hill, and School Street. I'm hoping, depending on how many cars get in the way. So, please don't park in the streets tomorrow.
Unless they've already been done.
Yes, unless they've already been done, it'll be quite clear where it's been cleaned up, so if it's been cleaned up, go ahead, have at it, but. Don't find out where we're working and then park it in something. But that's pretty much all I got.
Hopefully the fire hydrant stage shoveling now.
Yeah, I'm gonna do them as I clean up snow.
Some of them just completely buried.
Yeah, I tried bringing back, Monday after the storm. And I buried a lot of them, but tomorrow I'm gonna go around while we're cleaning them up and we'll clean up all the way around and everything, so. It will get done tomorrow.
Anything else? Anybody have anything for?
Did you get a bid, rebid on that trailer?
No, I haven't even, have a message on the phone, I got it on Friday and I haven't checked it yet, because we haven't really been in the shop much since then, I can check it tomorrow and see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
The only other thing is there's a salt shortage. I don't know if that really matters or not to you guys, but, I called and ordered some salt today and we have enough for about 4 normal storms right now, and they said they can get it to us as fast as they can, but don't hold my breath, so. I don't know, or I ordered as much as I could buy with the rest of my budget in hopes that I can get the shed filled and they'll make us through the rest of the winter. But as long as this all comes in, and hopefully it comes in as faster than it's going out,
Let's
so.
hope spring comes early.
Yes, I'm hoping.
We have to deal with the paving bid. Kobe, John and Morgan have worked hard on this, where we should pave, so John, you wanna, Morgan or John, how do you wanna
I'll take it.
take it?
Okay, so we have, I separated it out into 2 separate projects.
One more second, what we wanna, this is how we wanna bid this out. And we're gonna bid it out in sections, so if we have an approval tonight, then we'll bid it out, and the earlier we can get it out to bid, then we can, lock ourselves into a timeframe.
Yeah, so we did it in two separate projects because the section on Route 121 East, we have a grant for that in the amount of $200,000 with a 20% match from the town. So that is one separate project completely, so we're asking contractors to bid on that one separately than all of the others. So, the other one, the townwide paving projects, I'll just quickly run through the sections that we talked about. So the first one is on Chester Road, beginning around the intersection of Bright Orchard Road and traveling north towards Chester for, approximately 5,000 feet. Location number 2 is all of Pleasant Street. Location 3 is all of School Street. And finally, location 4 is about a 400-foot section between the intersection of Middletown Road and Hinkley Brook Road and where it meets with the fire pond. Each of these are a little bit different in terms of the depth of how far down they have to mill it. But for the most part, they mill and then repave over that. Do you have anything to add?
On the, Chester Road one, where it says, the length times the width times 2, that should be times 3. That should have 1-inch shim and 2-inch overlay.
Okay.
And then also Hinkley Brook is the same way, change it 2 to a 3.
That's the only change from when I sent it out last week.
Did you add the risers in to Pleasant Street, or are you gonna hope that they're gonna get about the same height?
We did not because we have them going down 1 inch. And then paving 1 inch,
Okay.
so we're hoping that they stay at the same height that it's at.
Is there any questions? If everybody wants, if everybody agrees, then we'll put this out for bid. And we'll see if we have enough money to pay for the entire paving project. If not, then we'll have to cut some back. Because we need them.
What we have now, we'll do these, I think, it'll be awful close.
Yeah.
So that's why we separated them, and, if we have to, we can cut one of them out. Just one of the small ones.
Is there a reason that 2 of them are my 3 inches and the other 2 are 2 inches? That we altered it, because,
In depth.
yes,
You're talking about 35, 121.
So Main,
I'm actually looking at the town wide one.
yeah, so the School Street and Pleasant Street,
Right.
they don't go down as far
Okay.
as Hinkley Brook. 121 in Chester.
Gotcha.
What's the reasoning for that? Is it just because there's a lot of things in the street?
Volume of
Under-
traffic?
No, I think it's because there's a lot of like wires and piping under those School
Oh.
Street. and
So the
Pleasant.
shut-offs, the private shut-offs and all that stuff.
So if this were to be approved, then we have it set that we're accepting bids, they would be due March 18th. Which is the night of one of our select board meetings, so we would open them that evening. Have time to review all of them and then award. Or have discussion at the next meeting, which is April 7th. And I plan to post it in all of the appropriate outlets for advertising, like the newspaper and some websites online.
If somebody wanna make a motion to accept the bids,
So
or
moved,
presented,
so moved.
Second.
any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, so then send them out, hope for the best.
Yeah, just wanna thank Colby and John for helping me on that one.
Personnel, do you have anything on the committee, any report?
No, other than there's 3 areas that I'm
What?
putting the words together.
You skipped again, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry, good.
I just want to give an update that we had a very successful rabies vaccination clinic on Saturday. Thank you to the Grafton Food Association. We were met with we had 16 dogs and cats that were vaccinated with rabies. My lobby was filled with cats and dogs for the first hour continuously. So, thanks to Michelle for coming to help, and Kudis and Ashley. And we have one more coming March 15th. Same time, 10 to 12. So hopefully we get more animals in. Right now, we seem to be ahead of most of the towns for participation. And some of them were wondering what brings the attraction. Well, it's the Grafton Improvement Association sponsoring it for us, so that's been helps. Taxes, so we just had our third tax deadline come up. We've got one more May 15th. Just wanted public that it's very important to make that May 15th payment, because anything after 4 o'clock on May 15th will incur an 8% penalty, because that ends our tax year and it'll become delinquent. So between now and May 15th, I'm gonna put in the Grafton News, hoping people will inquire as to make sure their balance is only one more quarter. So if they missed any in the past, they're going to have a due amount besides that one quarter, which will occur interest. So again, I try and send out a reminder. I wait until the beginning of April. And all those who do have a small balance outside of their quarter, I try and send them a reminder. So that's kind of coming up. I have all ballots for the town meeting. So absentees are available. You can't make the town meeting. Polls are open from 9 to 7, so you've got plenty of time to make it. But if not, you're welcome to either call, email me, or stop in and we can give you an absentee. There's 5 ballots total. So there's a small little pile. And I think that's it.
Pre-town meeting,
Pardon?
Pre-town meeting.
Pre-town meeting is Monday, the 25th,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, sorry.
That's cool.
25th, 6 o'clock at the school. Yeah, that's all I got.
Sorry about that, Kim, but it said other, so there was nothing in there, so I just assumed that you, but that's okay. Personnel committee, do you have anything?
No, at this time, but we're still working on those 3 or 4 updates that I've got to rewrite.
Do we have any flood update? I don't think so, do we?
John, Colby and I met with the
Oh, yeah.
engineering firms today regarding the Eastman Road block wall. And the engineers had met with Scott Jensen, the river management engineer, and he had some concerns about doing the cast in place concrete wall. So we're kind of working through that. We're gonna meet with Scott Jensen in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But things are moving along with that. Do you have anything to add on that?
No, anything else? Okay. All right, so now we come to the ordinance of the dogs. What we did is we took the ordinance and we kept everything the same, except we eliminated all the outlying roads. So that the parts are have to be leased, Main Street, all those roads and whatever. So, we'll try again to see if we can't get it passed tonight, and if not, then I'm not sure what we do, but, I guess we keep trying until we can get the dog ordinance updated, because it really should be updated. Is there any discussion?
So does it say townwide?
Not townwide anymore.
Or what? You said you removed.
The town, all, you know, all the back streets, Houghtonville, way up, and just the streets that were, in the original, one, down, except there was an amendment to do all town roads, and we struck that out. So that we're back to the designated areas where the dogs are.
I was here for that meeting when there was much discussion about adding it to cemeteries and town parks and
It's
has
in
that
there.
been updated?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's on the board.
Yeah.
I just put it up on the board, so the only changes from the last meeting where there was a draft presented is the highlighted pieces. So all town owned property, which includes all parks and cemeteries. And then for this Red Orchard Road one, we had a 911 like house address. And it seemed confusing, so the nearest intersection was Red Orchard Road.
So this is the way the ordinance was written last week. The motion was that, was with amendments that included all town roads that failed. So this hadn't been amended to read that way. That's why it's the way it was originally presented last week with these yellow adjustments. Does that clarify that? Does that make sense? I guess I would just point out that, while all town roads are not covered, that it would be prudent to, for town folk to be aware of the definitions so that anybody, if a dog anywhere causes, as it says, any person to reasonably fear attack, or if you're being chased, et cetera, that while there is no leash law on those locations, that still would warrant somebody to be able to call the animal control officer. And so, and while there's not a, this does not include leashing everywhere, if one ever felt intimidated, not to the point of being attacked, but even concerned that if there's a reasonable concern that you were being chased or whatever, that one could call the dog officer. I guess that's how I hope the townspeople would read and recognize these definitions. Without a full-fledged town leash law.
In essence, you have to keep your dog under control. That's it. Any other discussion? If not, somebody want to make a motion to accept the ordinance?
So,
Okay, do we have a second? For the sake of argument, I can, so I'll second it just to get it on the floor.
That's fair.
Discussion?
I just have one. And I mentioned this before, property owners that are second homeowners or Airbnb folks that aren't here all the time, they need to let their, folks that are renting know this ordinance, and it's important to get that out to folks. I don't know if you put it in the tax bill or everybody needs to know it. Some people don't have computers or access to internet. It's nice to have something in writing. For them. That's only my suggestion.
Well, we could do something with the Grafton News.
Yeah, I think we should keep it a reminder in the Grafton News for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can kind of brainstorm internally how we can get the word out as much as possible, because I think you're right, that's very important.
Well, even with the Grafton News, folks that don't live here,
Right.
they don't get that newsletter.
Well, we would hope that maybe
Yeah.
the tavern, Wyndham Foundation.
Oh,
or
yeah,
the-
they're right.
Or the owners of the Airbnbs would put a notice in their rental units about the dog ordinance. And that's the only thing we can do, since we don't have a short-term rental at the moment, but there's no reason why we can't communicate it to the owners.
Yeah, that's important.
And while it may be disappointing that there is not a townwide leash law, again, I just encourage people to recognize that an ordinance of some type is, I guess, of value, even though it's not as extensive as I would think.
Any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of approving the amended dog ordinance? Want to do a roll call?
Sure.
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay. All right, we have that approved.
I'll just mention really quick,
Go ahead.
also, could each of you sign, you all have a line with your name next to it.
Mhm.
Just for procedure, we do have to, this does not go into effect immediately.
No, it doesn't.
We'll put it in circulation, put it in the Grafton News. The voters can submit a petition. That petition has to be signed by no less than 5% of the voters of Grafton. And it needs to be submitted within 44 days of today, which is when the ordinance is adopted by the select board. If no petition is filed, then this ordinance goes into effect 60 days, which would fall onto April 19th.
Okay. Okay, now, the last item here, on the agenda tonight is assignment of duties for the pre-town meeting. There's gonna be a lot of questions, at least I hope there's gonna be a lot of questions, and I hope a lot of people do come to the pre-town meeting. But if it doesn't make any difference, we need to be, ready to answer the questions. So I'm not sure how you wanna do it. I mean, I'm not,
I'm not in favor of that.
Oh, you're not?
Somebody has a question, one of us can answer.
That's
Go ahead
okay.
and answer, and if they need some help,
and that's fine by me.
I just think that's the way to do it.
I just want to bring it up, so we do it. So then I would suggest that everybody take a look at the budget. Get yourself even more familiar with it, and we can go from there. And I do hope we do get a nice attendance, but we'll get donuts and coffee, so maybe they'll bring them there, so. Let's see what happens.
So will there be an agenda? Pardon? Will there be an agenda for the meeting? No,
No.
there's usually not, because it's not an actual per se meeting.
We typically did have an agenda the past few years, but it was very like a loose structure.
No,
There's no minutes taken on it.
Right, but we will have it on Zoom, and we'll have a Zoom link for it, and we're gonna publish that
right, yeah.
within the next week.
Yeah, normally what I'll do is I'll open the meeting up and then we bring it to the questions, and then that's how it goes, and then when that's all done, then we'll have the candidates, if they wanna speak, they can, and go from there.
So you don't wanna talk at all about the budget? At all, like, mention
Well, we can,
a little bit about, the capital budget or.
we can do that, I mean,
I just didn't know if you're gonna touch base on any of the articles and then see if there's questions on them.
I think it's important that at least we read each of those articles.
Yeah.
And if they have questions,
Right, that's what I'm saying, so if you just get out there and ask if there's any questions and nobody says anything, then that's it.
Well-
But I'm hoping you're gonna at least review the articles, then ask
That's fine.
questions.
Oh, we can read the articles.
Okay, okay.
and I think the school goes first.
I was gonna ask, that was
The
my next
school
question. Who's going first?
superintendent does
Yeah.
some stuff, and then I'll do some stuff, and Hardy will explain the budget in terms of the CLA and the, how it affects the taxes.
And the high school's gonna be there to give their
Yes,
presentation also.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'll be there. Okay. And I think like, the supervisory office will be there.
Yeah, as far as I know, Andy will be there,
Mhm.
so I think we should have everything covered.
Yeah, and they used to have the high school principal there, so she's, I don't know. Well,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
hope for good weather.
yeah. Do we have any other business?
Yes. What's this road, and bridge standards? Is this something we should approve?
No, we don't, no, not yet. we're going to be meeting with Megan,
When we meet with
and
her.
she said we can approve that after we meet with her.
Who-
We could approve it now, I just,
Who's gonna approve it? Because the only one's gonna be there, is you and me and Toby.
well, no, we would meet with Megan, and then at our next board meeting, we would approve it.
Okay. And that's the same in the mileage.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I have one other thing.
Go ahead.
There's discussion among people that do Meals on Wheels delivery, including myself, about how to get through mud season. And because it's difficult that many of the people that receive meals live deep in the heart of the mud zones, and so I mentioned early to Morgan, but I gather it has been, we were looking, I said I would bring it up to think of a proactive way so that our drivers could know ahead of time before they're in the mud, and we can come up with a solution. We are contacting Senior Solutions for a solution if there's there's a period of time where maybe we could coordinate with the church and leave off X amount of deliveries. I mean, we go 3 times a week. And the other solution was, I mentioned talking about posting particular, bad zones, because obviously we know it's impossible to keep up with it. I know that the highway department is everything it possibly can, but given whatever circumstances, or pouring down rain, et cetera, et cetera. Morgan mentioned there's some signage possibilities.
We just bought those signs last year.
Yeah, I bought, I got 6 of them, so no, is it 6 of them?
I couldn't remember the
There are 8 of them, so I can do 4 roads. But one on each end of the road, and it just says, please, road closed to.
Mud zone
Yeah,
or
only,
something.
for, residents, no through traffic. So-
Is that what they said?
Yeah, which I doubt anyone's gonna listen to them, probably, to be honest, nobody does.
So
So we'll see, but I'm hoping it'll help.
there's some theories, and I don't have a big huge truck, my car was actually damaged. But I have a SUV, which is too low to the ground even, but a truck probably would be okay.
Depends on where you are.
It does depend,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's pretty bad.
So, okay, thank you for that.
It'd be nighttime and more early mornings.
Right,
The best
Unless
time,
there's
best
some
time to drive on
wild
the road in mud season.
Yeah.
Normally it's froze by then, so just don't do it in the middle of the afternoon, I guess.
well, we, head out, you pick up the meals in Bellas Falls at 10 o'clock, and usually the loop is done by about 11:30. In the best,
That's the
That sounds working fine.
the worst time.
and it's so because many of these people enjoy their meal in the middle of the day.
Right.
So I guess we really have to work through a solution, but I appreciate the signs,
Yeah.
but I think we might, I think some people think their trucks can make it. My truck, I don't think our truck could make it. It has-
Just don't drive, the biggest thing is, everyone drives and they fall in the same ruts and then they just let go of the steering wheel and let it go.
I guess another
There's stuff-
suggestion would be, they could always call Colby, myself,
Yeah.
and
Right, I mean, if we, I was just trying to think of a good way to.
The oil
communicate
companies
this.
most oil companies that listen, that abide by the rules, they'll call me in the morning and ask me which roads they're allowed to run or which ones are the bad ones. And so we could do something like that, just whether or not I'll
We'll think
be
about
everybody
a
by the phone, so.
solution. Yeah, I guess if in doubt, that the person with the deliverer could call
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
that's what the oil companies do, so.
early.
Yeah, well, at 6 o'clock they call typically, 90% of the time it's doing during the dark, so.
Yeah. We have robocalls?
no.
Are the clients
aware of this potential issue?
Right, excuse me, yeah, I did not know the extent to which the clients are aware of this possible situation. I'm not sure we missed deliveries last year, but certainly there was damage on the underside of people's cars. That now this year people are like, forget about it, I can't do that again. So, yeah, we're working with the clients, the Senior Solutions, I think there's a variety of things that Bill and David Little are trying to work out and try to figure out how to do it.
Maybe we need drones.
There you go. Slingshots.
And can they get the meals the day before?
You deliver on Monday for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for what, oh, you could do a week's worth, for example, or. There was all sorts of solutions. Is there someone on the road that could take care of these in these dire situations, like perhaps someone that lives on Stagecoach Road, we have some clients there. Or Eastman Road, or just, yeah, there are a bunch of ideas floating around. I just said I would communicate this at this forum, so.
But one of the best things to do, if you could do it early in the morning.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
is
right
really is.
now,
A lot of it is, the problem we've had is the gravel and stuff like that, and we switched over, and I think it's gonna be I think it'll be a lot better this year, cause
Right.
we do have a lot of it ditched, and a lot of it was, there was no ditches for the water to go anywhere,
correct,
so.
correct.
I think a lot of the ones that we had the big problems with, I'm thinking they're gonna probably be a little bit better this year, so.
Nice,
Push
well,
out trees.
Yeah, trees, you hack trees away, get rid of them, let the sun hit it,
Yeah.
it makes a big difference, so.
okay.
The
thing about it is, that at this juncture, our food comes from Rutland, and there's a driver who I don't even know where he starts. So if I'm at the senior center in Bellas Falls at 5 of 10, he's not there yet. It's because he's got a ways to travel, so there are lots of moving parts to get the food. We used to get it over at the Dam Diner, which was a little, maybe more flexible, I don't know, I had barely started at that point, so. But thanks, I'll extend.
Well, we can try to work with, I mean.
Yeah, we can figure it out.
Kobe,
hopefully with
I
the-
mean, Kobe will know what roads
I'll
are
tell
bad.
you, I'll tell you.
What's that?
We have 2 refrigerators in the church and 2 more plus a freezer at the chapel, we can figure something.
That's really good news, that's great.
Yeah, if you have, I have my warehouse has a cooler, so if you need to store stuff over there, I mean, it's a walk-in cooler, I mean, you can bring it a lot of yeah. So you can certainly use that.
Hopefully, they can get to you.
Yeah, well, we gotta get them, it's another problem.
Hey, you were gonna take them off, I'll leave it here.
But I mean, if you need a storage problem, if you
Yeah.
can,
That's
I
great.
don't wanna see them stuff go to waste, so.
No, and I don't want people to miss it.
Any other business? Any public comment? Okay, so the next regular meeting will be March 3rd, 2025 here at 6 P.M. But don't forget this special pre-town meeting will be next Tuesday, next Tuesday at the school. Motion to adjourn?
Someone. Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, so we adjourn at 7:02.